scam artists, Ponzi schemes, the public being left in line.
Well, hello there, and welcome to yet another Merge Roundtable. We are going to talk about a lot of things today. We're going to talk about the Apple ski mask thing that came out. We're going to talk probably about some AI things that always comes up. Software B2B dying, that's a thing. We're going to talk about sales. And whatever the hell that just was with Gary Gensler. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. So we're here for another week, guys. Somehow we made it through another week, and I guess the big news in my world is the thing that we did with the cold open there with Gary Gensler, deciding that he was going to come after the entire industry, and that was an excerpt from public comments that he made, which is very highly irregular for a sitting chairman of the SEC. To come out and make public comments calling an entire industry of hucksters and scam artists. And then right on the heels of announcing lawsuits of the two largest crypto exchanges in the world in an attempt to, as he said, put them all out of the country.
He probably had back-to-back meetings. Sometimes when you're not prepared for that cognitive shift, he might as well have done 4 shots of tequila or not slept the night before. Because that makes you irrational and angry, and you say things you get fired for. Yeah, so that's my guess. Was back-to-back meetings.
So you think it was just a bad night's sleep, and he just accidentally hit record on YouTube and put that public statement out.
That felt like a politician in Congress who then turns around. Like I feel like he's got a crypto brother hanging out behind the curtain that they went to lunch at a steakhouse right after that. Because that's the level of vitriol we saw.
Yeah,
which was. For the cameras.
It's really crazy. It's the level of there's really not I mean that very literally. It's crazy. Like the level of vitriol. So there was a meme that was going around last week, and it's the one of the few times when I think like Godwin's law didn't automatically disqualify the argument as being invalid, because it was like a meme of like Adolf Hitler was refused by Jews to go to art school, and then he decides to create an entire campaign around genociding Jews. Gensler, it turns out, was turned down as a chief compliance officer for Binance, and now has decided to declare war on all of crypto as some sort of like weird sour grapes thing. He applied for the job, did not get it, and then gets the job as
you 100% know that's too good to check, right? That is one. It's too good to check. That's one of those you just run with.
The CEO of Binance leaked that. So I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's what he's saying.
Too good to check.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I went and got my hair did today. I got my ears lowered.
It looks nice.
Thank you. And I go to this old school barber in downtown Plano named James. I love James. Yeah. So, and he is. If you have any interest in actually seeing an old school barbershop and listening to the rantings and ravings of an old school barbershop, that place is gold. Pure gold. So today I was sitting there listening to Bloomberg while I'm waiting to get in, and they're talking crypto, and they're talking about how it's going to create a decentralized finance is going to create another civil war. And I just kept listening, and I'm like, where are they getting this information?
So this is, to be clear, this is Bloomberg saying it's going to create a civil war, or the barbers?
This was the barber.
Okay.
But the fact that now the barber's got an opinion on it because he listened to something,
What's terrifying is you had to ask.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
It's true. I've seen some kind of wild stuff out of Bloomberg.
After what we just saw, that's the problem. Is what are people randomly saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, new segment. This next week, there's going to be the event down in Austin. There's the digital asset thing down at in Austin next week, and it's going to be old school finance guys, like a ton of financial advisors and accredited investors that really just want to know what we should know. right? So I'm going to be really interested to see what people that are in my industry are saying or not saying or listening. I mean, it's widely viewed that people go there all the time for this particular event. So I'm really interested to see now that the lawsuits are out, and pretty sure that both of these companies, like I know for sure Coinbase has been pretty open and honest about just tell us what to do.
Right.
Just tell us.
They actually sued the SEC because they weren't telling them what to do. Like, we want to be legal. We don't want to have to leave the country.
Yeah.
But we will if we have to.
Yeah.
Wasn't it you last time that was talking about let's get a gambling license at least? At least that way we know what we can or can't do.
Yeah.
Well, it's cooled off in the private sector. I haven't heard anybody mention crypto. No friends, no bartenders, no Uber drivers. Because we're in the midst of, the crypto winter. I mean, everything fell down. So now they had to go back and get jobs. What's funny is there's actually some small evidence that there's more jobs in retail and fast food because all the crypto bros were stopping. They assumed they were rich now and they'd get richer and richer with Doge and Shiba and all the other ones, right? And now they had to go back to work. And I don't know if that's, I haven't seen the full of it, but that's actually one of the things. Something 3 or 4% of the country at one point of Gen Z weren't in the workforce because they were crypto rich.
I feel
there's
like
definitely an impact.
Right.
I feel like we had actually some fun. I was I went to Montana to go visit a friend last week, and stopped off at a shop to go get my fishing license, and we were just chatting with the guy, and he was like, "Yeah,
it's a follower over here."
And he goes, "If I would have." I actually was able, I made a bunch of money in crypto and then I lost a bunch of it, but at least I was able to buy a house. And I've heard that over and over again from people. It's like, well, I mean, they could have gotten out higher, but at least they have something tangible out of it.
You got to take some profits, right? Isn't that a kind of a standard thing?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that, but I've heard that's something you're supposed to do with crypto. I like to do the traditional, buy high, sell low,
Right,
and then hold, and then get out, get out right before it takes off.
Yeah. So I just found it pretty fascinating that you generally have the SEC coming in whenever you're trying to protect the average investor, individual investors, and it seems to me that for better or for worse, crypto hasn't been the high society traditional finance crowd, and the people that are dabbling in the gambling aspect of it are fully aware of the risks.
Right.
So what are they really trying to protect people from?
Well, and there's so many. This is where, so the actual, it's not just Republicans that are going after Gensler, because typically it's the blockchain lobby, the crypto lobby has been very popular on the Republican side of the fence, but there's even some Democrats that are breaking rank and publicly criticizing Gensler this week. I think Representative Torres notably was grabbing some headlines from doing that, and they're calling out things like, okay, you approved Coinbase's IPO, and then literally a month and a half later started a campaign against Coinbase, started gathering evidence against Coinbase that culminated in this lawsuit. And then second of all, like, what is the deal with approving not approving the futures ETF, or not approving the ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs, but approving futures ETFs for Bitcoin? Like, how is that protecting investors to have no institutional way to put money into crypto and forcing it through all these weird choke points and self-custody solutions and places where people can just rug you, as opposed to some sort of public audited, I mean, like, what's the logic? How is that protecting investors?
I know the logic, but it's wild conspiracy.
Oh, they just don't like crypto?
No. I think, they talk about the digital coin. What was it called?
Put my tinfoil hat on.
Yeah. No, think about this. Just using logic, right? They were talking about having a federal crypto coin. Like, here's the federal currency.
Yeah.
I think they looked at that and said, this is not going to happen. We don't have the infrastructure. We couldn't do it. And in a fit of rage, if we can't have it, nobody can. So they were fine pushing crypto if it led to them eventually having a digital currency for themselves. Mm-hmm. Now that they know that we can't make this work, well, there's no point in boosting up crypto anymore. Let's put that one down and see what happens in 5 years.
I'd like to think that it's even more sinister than that. I'd like to think that they actually let them raise the money and go public so they'd have someone to find and get the money from.
Don't they make a lot in taxes, though?
The government?
Yeah, isn't crypto basically the California IPO for taxes?
Well,
I know some people don't do it, but they pay a lot.
Well, people have to self-report right now for crypto gains in general, but I'm just saying
they must have made.
But corporations
I'm saying
definitely
that
pay their
Coinbase
taxes.
as a whole, which raised all this IPO money,
right.
has corporate coffers.
Oh yeah,
in
you have
which
the
they can
investors
now they can sue them and take all of Coinbase's money and put
That
Coinbase
seems-
out of business.
Yeah, but
Hey, we were talking conspiracy theories. I just
Yeah, but
figured-
mine at least was,
don't mind it.
mine didn't have any consequences. Mine was just some old guy sitting in a room barking at something, not not stealing all the investor money from IPO. I mean,
But that would never happen.
you
Yeah.
got too serious, man. You started looking logistics. Well, then
Talking
Gary
about-
would have to file Form
that's
17-8.
kind
I'm
of
like,
what they're asking for in the suit, though. They're asking for what do you have left? Okay, it's ours. Because they're basically saying every bit of profit Coinbase has ever made, and same thing for Binance, is based off of unlicensed securities, and any profit that you've made off of running that, and probably the profits the things that are not profits, your expenses, also should be, like more money than you currently have is the damages.
Okay, what if there's one more thing? And this one actually is plausible because we know this happens all the time. You know the IRS commercials where they go in and I worked for the IRS for 20 years and now I'm on your side of the fence, right?
Right.
And we know they did this for all the IPO after Microsoft and all the Citizens United, we know they did that. And we know that the people in the SEC who sued Mark Cuban, there were 4 or 5 of them. And what did they do? They went and got giant jobs at law firms. And the press releases the person who sued Mark Cuban. They did it like 4 or 5 times when they went after him.
Yeah.
Could it be that this is just designed to give them jobs when they leave the SEC?
Yeah, no, corporate welfare. I mean, this is the same thing. I mean, like, it's happened in crypto before, too. The judge and several of the agents who were involved in Ross Ulbricht's case all have board seats at various crypto companies, including Coinbase.
For safety.
The Judge Hunt,
no.
yeah. For safety, yeah. That protection racket didn't really work out well too well for them.
That district court judge doesn't know the poll he used to have.
Yeah, but it's pretty insane. Protection racket. Yeah, you weren't hiring enough federal employees for your boards, so now we're going to remind you that we are in fact going to wreck your shop unless you pay the protection money. Yeah, that could be
fascinating.
Fun. Okay, so what about that ski mask that came out this week?
Hasn't it hurt your neck to have that on for too much?
Yes. Well, I mean, it does with the Oculus for me. It hurts my nose.
I mean, this is heavy. It's got a big battery, and I mean, it's not like you and I've used some AR stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it so I can lean back. I'm not standing up my desk with imagine the neck problems from it. But are people going to build it? Is this just another?
Are people going to buy it because it's Apple, dude? That's why I'm unfortunate.
$3,500 for a display.
Well, that price will come in, right? They've got to pay off all the the capex for building it, and then
At first, it's look what I have. Other people don't.
Yeah. First of all, I'm really cool, and so look at me.
This is why you
with it
should go to the
now.
Dude,
Centurion
it's a
Lodge in
virginity
LA.
protector, man. No one's going to be looking at me. I'm really cool.
I will also say that, gosh, I don't like to wear sunglasses, reading glasses, any kind of glasses because I'm not used to it. I haven't done it since forever. But I also just don't like it. It distracts me. How is that going to be something that everyone
it's
wants to wear?
immersive. I mean, that's like you can just put a box around your head. The old Oculus and others. It does kind of feel like you're in there.
Mm-hmm. Until you trip.
See, that's what I was thinking. The workers' comp. Come into the office, put the thing on your head, and then you get 12 months of disability.
Right.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
There's no way that's not being priced in somewhere. Someone at State Farm is
You'd
getting
have to be-
super excited right now.
It's a ski mask. Go ahead. Look at it. It's a ski mask.
Well, I don't ski. I don't have the money.
Like our
you
ski
do.
goggles. You know what I'm talking about? I don't ski either, but I've seen them before. I mean, look.
So, do you know if I heard, like, I don't know if it's rumors or like I just heard that those are not her eyes. Like it's totally opaque, and they pump out a feed of the camera feed of your eyes.
That's
hilarious.
I
if
hope
that's true.
that they spend engineering resources on that. Like that brings a little magic back into the world, you know?
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that that's something they thought this is something we need.
Can you pull up a picture of my X reels that I have? Like I don't have them with me.
How many dongles do you have to buy?
While you're looking that up from Seeking Alpha, there's an article from Seeking Alpha. It says the Vision Pro is the spatial computing platform of the future, and everyone will want to buy one! Exclamation point. I'll first discuss computing. First of all, for $3,500, I don't want to buy one. Right? I've had this same Apple laptop, AirBook, whatever you want to call it, since 2012. I don't want to buy something new for $3,500. Yeah.
I can't even update the Chrome browser on mine.
You got to bring it in to Genius, and they'll just wipe the whole thing and start over.
But then I lose all the.
I know.
I get made fun of because I have a couple.
Still, $3,500. I'm not spending it. I don't want to spend $3,500 on something that I'm going to wear. That, as I mentioned before, I have a pair of the first generation Bose, and usually they over-engineer those to not break. Right. Wore it for like 3 months, broken.
Yeah.
Hey, you got your Bose with you, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You can put them up, show them if you got them in your handy, like what he's talking about. But to me, here's the problem with this thing, and as an Apple, like as a company like Apple, I can't believe that they wouldn't. See, look at these things. Like this is augmented reality, like wearable tech.
Yep. Same ones. Yep.
Yeah, light, easy.
Yeah.
Broke.
Now, great. Well, sure, but it's also not $3,500. It's like $150 now, right?
Yeah.
But so, why are they? You're basically it's more powerful. It's twice as powerful as the top of the line MacBook. This ski goggle thing.
Good Lord.
And so it's got 2 processors that you would normally have one of in your laptop. Why are you strapping that to your face? Why not have that so the X Reels, the Bose, all that stuff? It connects either wirelessly or wired to an external device that is precision engineered to be that thing. Yeah. Why are you putting all that weight on your neck and your nose? Like even just a regular Oculus that's just a display.
Did they talk about that? I haven't seen. I mean, I saw the people making fun of it and the price. Did they talk about the weight and how that impacts a human being?
I don't know. I mean, anybody who's ever worn VR glasses has to know, though. Like that's the main reason why I stopped playing with Oculus.
Did you see Zuckerberg's email, our little post?
He said,
"Why did they do that?" Like it was like a 5-year-old going, "I don't understand. Why?" I thought it was hysterical because it actually, like, he woke up and was like, well, "I'm glad we didn't do that." Woo, that metaverse thing. We are okay, guys. We're going to be okay.
It's 1 pound.
I'm blown away.
It says it's 1 pound.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you take 2.5 pounds, like a can of soup. Like if you're working on some issues with your neck or your back, they take 2.5 pounds, just a can of soup, and you go like this, like 10.
Dude, you need
times.
A better physical therapist if they're handing you a soup can.
I'm giving you the weight equivalent.
I'm just saying they have tools now.
So legit, like that much weight on something that isn't meant to support much weight. Like when do you ever go get a haircut and it's like.
You can feel like just massive amounts of
Feels so great.
Wearing a hat.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel it. It's a what are you going to do? I mean, are they walking around with that? I don't understand. Like I almost understand a human docking system better. Like stepping into
human docking system.
Is that coming next? That makes more sense. Like you step into it and it's got something that would seem to make more sense. And I bet you for $3,500, I bet you for $600 or $700, I could do a physical rig.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is a walking desk now?
It's still like $100,
something
$200.
that kind of leans back and kind of. They could have spent less on engineering and more on human comfort.
Oh, they just got to get the candy out there. You got to get your hooked on
and
it.
then
It's a 1/4 pound lighter than an Oculus, according to.
So okay, people use the Oculus.
Yeah, but not for work purposes. Like, so I can tell you because I use my X Reels for work purposes. I can go about 6 hours with the screen that close to my eyes before.
I know what the problem is. He does more than 15 minutes of work a week. He's thinking about doing 6 hours of work a day. And the people buying this, they do maybe 15 minutes.
But that's how they're pitching this thing, though. They're pitching this thing as a work collaborative.
We're going to come into the office, and then you're going to go into the virtual world because we need it in the office because it's too expensive for you to take home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like coming to the office and do Zoom calls.
So there was this, this famous thing where Michael Bloomberg walks into one of the headquarters or whatever, Bloomberg, and he sees somebody playing Nintendo or something. He's like, "You're fired. You're out of here." It's like, you wear those things, no one knows what you're doing. No, boss, I'm working.
That's the whole point of having a screen, you know?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not getting a pair.
How do you fake that? Like, they have mouse jigglers, but what would you...
How would you fake what you're doing inside of the...
Are you running Spotify on the side while you're got a movie playing? And
I mean, you've got infinite screens. Why not? You know?
God, I'm just thinking about sitting at my desk, looking at it. I've got 2 screens and stuff going on. And then, like, if I turn my television on in the corner, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And now they have to track your eyeballs to see if you're actually focusing on what you want to focus on. And they spit out a report to Microsoft Teams telling you how productive you were that week.
can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't hear. Hold on. Can I hear myself? Yeah. So I see this maybe. So first of all, there's a couple things, right? The Appleification of everything. You know, people said very similar things about, you know, iPhones or other Apple products about being overpriced, but we still buy the MacBook, and sure, some of us keep it for 10 years. But I see it, and it's going to be inevitable that something like this from Apple is going to, you know, they're so good at social engineering and telling us what we need, even if we can't afford it. Half these people walking around with iPhones, can they really afford the iPhone? I don't know. The utility it gives them, maybe. But then I also see this as if they make it right, I don't see any difference from like other VR headsets really, but if there is an improvement in the immersion or they're good at UI UX, right? I mean, so if they do it right, I could see it being used as a tool for graphic artists, digital artists, or I saw people like editing videos on there. I don't know who's going to use that, but I don't know. Playing devil's advocate, I guess.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the price point. Like, I like expensive stuff, you know, like if it's quality, but I don't think this is quality. Like, just it's still using a broken VR paradigm, which is too much weight on the face, and you can't use it for anything that you want to be productive with. If you want to play a video game with it, yeah, but then you're relegating it to something other than what they're marketing it as.
Mm-hmm. I've got lots of expensive Apple things I can't ever use again because they changed the dongles or whatever. Yeah. But there's a mistake in saying, oh, they've done it before or it's over-engineered. It's not that. It's pretty. That's what Apple is. It's pretty and it's functional. Mm-hmm. But Budweiser was a great marketing company for many years. They have not been in the last 10, 15 years. They're not what they were before they got sold to InBev. Mm-hmm. So this idea that just because a company's been around, they're always great and gets to go back 100 years, that is a mistake in today's world.
Talk about funny engineering, going to the engineering part of the equation. Did you guys see what happened with why Tesla popped again today? Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
So I just want to point out that I knew something beforehand, and I never knew how to monetize it. I was always kind of confused, never really understood it. But like Tesla came out with the first more or less commercial electric car, right? You know, forget about subsidies and this, that, and the other thing. Let's talk. They had it full production. They've got these charging stations in different places. Why wouldn't everyone have already had a standard dongle to plug into every electric car so that all of these electric outlets would be the same driving on the road? So today, Ford and GM, just came out and said that by a certain period of time in the near future, all of ours are going to match the Tesla one, which obviously now Tesla will get some licensing revenue and the stock popped. I would like to point out that for all the people that hate him so much, I would like to point out that in the past several months that the stock has recovered a lot of losses. He's effectively made back the entire purchase price of Tesla and his net worth.
I mean, Twitter?
Of Twitter and his net worth.
Well, that's good because he lost about $30 billion on Twitter.
He lost a bunch. He lost a bunch, but didn't even lose it yet. I mean, he could probably still sell it.
No, I actually think it's moving forward. It's slower growth, certainly.
Yeah.
Someone brought this up the other day. Here's the thing. It's a different population of people. Like, you guys don't probably, this isn't a big deal to almost anybody else, but they bought Lasky. People are like, what is Lasky? So it's a job platform that verifies people. Mm-hmm. It's basically a verifies assessment. What's interesting is the people who ran Lasky also were involved in something called Interviewer or something like that. Basically, it's verification. Mm-hmm. Why did they do that Twitter blue mark? why is it $8 or $9 or whatever, $11 what it is now? It's because, as he actually said, there's too many bots. There's no way to verify something. When we look at popping into the TA world, LinkedIn, Seekout, ATS, people who have been around, we have a database of old names. The thing that they are valuable for is I can spin up 5,000 profiles tomorrow that are fake. Just push of a button, bot, 5,000 profiles. Then you have to fight those. If you've been around for 12 years before that was possible, it's that old thing that we looked at for the BEV scores. You build up reputation over time, which goes right back to blockchain and verification.
Right.
So he's purchased a company's point is verification. So when you think about Career Builder and Indeed and all these other places, like I'm going to put my resume out, I'm going to recreate myself. The GDPR in Europe says you have to get rid of everybody's information every 6 months. This is very important because it means that this is why they're big on AI, because they don't want people creating much of fraud. What's fascinating about that is if Twitter has a paid verification, that's one layer. There's the use, there's how you're tying it in, there's the biometric scans, there's eventually the micropayments. Twitter becomes a job board because they're valuable, verified people. And that's verification. LinkedIn is now verifying things in ways they never did before. They very well could go to a paid version. Facebook, whatever ends up doing, paying is one form of verification that prevents fraud. It's not, you can still make it, but
here's my question: how much did they pay for that reputation verification company?
Not much. It was, I think, a couple million or something like that. It wasn't, but higher.
Do you know how many they've bought in the past?
How many job companies Twitter's bought?
How many reputation companies Twitter has bought in the past?
I have no clue.
At least
Laskie, Laskie.
Here's the thing: at least a half dozen. And the point I'm trying to make is that there is no utilization. He came in as such an unsophisticated manager that he doesn't even have a good inventory of the assets that's already in Twitter's portfolio. He just came in with a blanket, let's fire 80% of the people and rebuild this thing in my image. He didn't need to buy. He didn't need to spend another $2 million on buying anything because he already had that IP. And it was already native to Twitter.
Maybe he just liked the guys because he
remember Clout?
Oh, God.
That was what that was.
Clout Social. Twitter bought Clout?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a while ago.
Like about 5 or 6 years ago, yeah.
A lot of that tech's bad. It's old PHP, man.
It doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter if the tech is bad. They've already rewritten everything.
It's Ruby on Rails. Nobody uses that anymore.
Twitter was written on.
Anything over 18 months doesn't count in software. You know that.
So today, DocuSign came out with also a thing that hopefully sooner than later they'll have some kind of validation for online notary. It's like, doesn't that
would be
exist?
amazing if I didn't.
Yeah, that already exists for sure. I mean, I've used it before.
Is there an online notary?
I've used an online notary before myself. You get in front of the camera, you pick up your ID, you prove that you're there. It's like, how come DocuSign doesn't already have something like that? Why haven't they already bought one? Is it because you want somebody that's actually a third party neutral to do that kind of stuff across multiple, like Adobe and this and that and the other? But wouldn't you want to have it
There's a bunch of legal stuff.
No, because you don't. As long as someone is notarized, that's all the independence you need, because if they falsify documents, it's $30,000 per offense. So the criminal code takes care of whatever independence they may or may not have.
The online ones had to do there's some extent, like signing employment paperwork. You couldn't do it online for a long time. And then during the pandemic, they relaxed that rule, and all of a sudden the companies started jumping into it. So there might have been some legal framework, and why would they? Why make it easier to do it? Because that's the thing. Once it goes digital, it doesn't go back. And you think of deep fakes, you think of eye scans. How easy would it be? I could put a filter. Not with a hand, of course. That's the key. They can't fake the hand. So you hold the hand up with the driver's license, and AI can't do it because it has 6 fingers. Right. How hard would it be?
Actually, Midjourney 6 is coming out next week, and it can
do fingers?
Midjourney 5 can already do fingers, yeah.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you see.
Well, Midjourney 4, which was last month, could not. So you're right. You just haven't.
It's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks. The whole industry has changed.
The whole thing has changed.
Yeah.
I actually know an 8-year-old making $50,000 a month on Midjourney 6 right now. You too can do that. There's no reason to shackle yourself to a chair in an office.
Right. Shackle yourself to a chair.
I saw
in
it
your
on
bedroom.
Twitter.
You might have to spend more than 15 minutes a week though working.
Oh,
learning.
No. No, I'm in management. I I got, what is it? He's a straight shooter. He's got upper level management written all over him. That's funny. It's bad when I feel the need to explain things in case there's people watching don't know the jokes.
So Lasky, total funding amount of $6 million they got acquired by, but we don't know what the terms are because private transaction. So, but somebody made money.
They did pretty fast in 2 years.
Yeah,
I mean, those could be
$22,001.
acqui-hires too.
Yeah.
That could be lots of people buy old companies.
Yeah.
How much IP is floating around IBM?
Oh, forget about it. They don't even know.
That's what I find fascinating is like how many of these companies that either go out of business or have gone out of business had really great ideas and really great IP that just disappeared because no one was able to take it further.
Oh, I mean, I can tell you they paid $2 million for some stuff that I developed that they're definitely not using anymore. So, yeah. Just there you go. There's a number off the top of my head, just stuff that I was personally involved in the last decade.
That's why I got out of marketing.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand, and people say you're stupid for this, I couldn't stand getting a check, and then the new CMO would come in and go, thank you, here's your check, but we're not going to use this because it's not mine. The number of times you deliver a project and nobody uses it, it's soul-crushing.
That was the last straw for me working in the .com era. Was I worked for Nokia, and I wrote that protocol, which was really cool. And then the next project they had me on was developing. It was me and a bunch of other folks. It wasn't my project, but we were developing phone cases. So you could. This is like 1999. So, but you could upload a picture onto the web, and they would send you a phone case with your like a picture of your dog or whatever on it. And we were about 3 or 6 months away from finishing. I can't remember which it was. And our project manager comes in. Remember Holger Greif? He comes in, he goes, yeah, so it turns out there's a team in Helsinki working on the same project, and Nokia's going to use their code instead of ours, but we're going to go ahead and finish this project since our department's paid up for it. So for 6 months, we wrote code.
On something you knew you weren't going to use.
Knew was never going to see the light of day. So I was having, you know what a counter variable is? You know what a counter variable is? So it's whenever you're doing a loop and you want to have it break out on a certain number of counts, like you put a variable in there and you increment it every loop. And so I knew no one was going to ever use this code, and to amuse myself, instead of naming the counter variables like X or I or A or some nondescript thing, I would name them after professional wrestlers like Hulk Hogan or Bret Hart or Jake the Snake.
Yes.
And that was what got me on the short list of the first people to get laid off whenever Nokia laid off 900 people in the first round of .com crash firings.
There's a lot of Easter eggs out there.
Yeah.
You can't take bright people and tell them their work doesn't matter. That actually is one of the big problems that we face right now. Is the number of times I presented something, and it's on my servers, and no one ever downloads it or looks at it. And you're like, guys, that was a lot of money. You thought it was important, but what it is they're just running project to project. Like they have no sense of how it impacts the company,
right?
And they don't care. Because it's all about that quarterly thing, and then what comes next.
Well, they want to make sure that they use all the budget dollars so they don't lose the budget dollars for the next quarter.
It's not even that anymore. Because that's the old, the spend it before it's gone. It's check off my KPI and then call it a day. Because that's the thing, because it's about showing yourself to looking busy. Because what's the point of long-term planning? What's the point of doing quality and making it last 4 years when your entire division may disappear in a year and a half because they acquired somebody? So it'll be interesting to see if that's changing.
What was that AI project that you and I worked on?
Which one?
The one where you had me like roll it up into Basecamp and give them a document file that you said no one was ever going to look at because like the same thing you just described.
That's happened so many times.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, well, the problem is also now you have a lot of the younger folks, which is not to pick on them, but they think you can hack everything. They have an attention span of maybe 6 weeks. They're great ideas, and then it just kind of falls apart. And the problem is when you do that at a company, like we talk about job hoppers. The problem with job hopping, it's not jumping. The problem is if you do the same thing over and over. So my junior year in high school, I took a bunch of courses in Texas. I moved to St. Louis my senior year. I took a bunch of courses, same one. Surprisingly easy senior year because they had inverted the way that you did it. Guess what my first freshman year in college was? I had 3 years of the same thing where I didn't learn anything because I was taking the same number of courses. If you're doing the same thing company to company, you're not learning anything. You're just repeating grade school over and over and over again But now you have 8 years, and you still can't color inside the lines. That's what's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And we see this over and over. And so we see people in a position where they actually don't know what they do, because we've specialized everybody. We've split them out to make them cheaper.
I think that's going to keep going. I think that's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse as time goes on.
But then people can't do anything.
I didn't say they could.
I mean, it's great for us.
That's the direction I see. Yeah.
What was it? Someone that you and I know that she worked for a large SaaS software startup, that she worked there for 4 months before she figured out what her project was. She was a project coordinator. All she was doing was checking people's boxes, but she didn't know what the project actually was.
No wonder they went on TikTok. I had a question for you, actually. I had a buddy of mine. He wants to hire a 1099 salesperson.
Yep.
Right? So the thing is, I remember when 1099 used to be something before all that got confused. It basically, you're independent. They can't tell you what to do.
When to do it, give you the tools
you are
you're
your own
to do it.
independent agent, right? Yep. And it's interesting because I'm curious if that really exists anymore. I know in some places. I know manufacturers reps, they're all 1099. There's a woman online who mentioned that her sister's a Harley dealership, and they use it. I get it for some of the iconic brands, but just typical business sales, can you hire a 1099 rep anymore? Do they really still exist, or is that just kind of in our heads because we remembered it's a cheap way of saying I don't want to pay for anybody? Do they still exist?
They do. I think most everybody hires people as W. It's almost a little crazier. We're so used to gig work, right? We want to do the same thing over and over and over again, and whenever we can't do that and we have to do something different, we want to quit anyway, right? I mean, the average longevity of an employee's got to be well below 20 years.
Yeah,
right?
So sure.
It's coming under 3.
So why would you want to pay your employees as a W-2 employee and have to pay all those additional benefits? I get that. I see that. I'm just saying that as a salesperson specifically, why would I want them to withhold from me?
They'll change your commissions. They'll dump you out. They'll steal your stuff.
But if you're a 1099 employee and you aren't worried about their benefits and their packages, and you've had enough money kind of stashed away, you can get paid by the job, and you can do your own retirement account.
They want to pay you the commissions.
More than $12,500 or $16,000 for the year.
They want to pay you the commissions that you're making on W-2 as a salaried person,
right?
Instead of paying you what used to be, which should be twice as much, because you're taking all the risk, and they don't let you do 4 or 5 brands that you're repping.
Right.
Like there's no one out there selling K-Force, Snelling, Aerotech, and Bob's Bait Shop, which is what a 1099 would do. Instead, what it is that they're just doing it. You're selling for us. You work for us. You follow up. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
The original scam,
person.
the original thing that people were doing that were small business owners is they would set up like a PEO. I can't remember the exact what it's for. Bad definition. Basically, you hire
What's
somebody.
PEO?
PEO. That's what I'm just saying is I don't remember the exact. Well, we can look it up.
Private equity organization?
No. Personal equity organization. Some kind of organization that basically they hired them for you. Right, so they're not my employees. You're actually hired by ADP.
Was this before the contractor laws in the 90s?
Still exists, actually. A lot of these companies still have it. Like ADP actually has their own.
Professional employer organization.
There we go.
Oh, these are just the payrolling companies.
Yeah, but it's not my employee as a doctor's office. You actually work for ADP. They're handling hiring and firing. I just tell them that you're not working out, and they have to do the firing, right?
Right.
And then you're their W-2 employee.
Yeah, you manage them.
Yeah, but you're using their benefits. You're using all of their prototype stuff. So it's kind of like having your cake and eat it too.
I had to go out to a large.
The only problem is when you get to go sue them and say, "No, dude, you told me I had to be here at 9:30. You're the one that's unhappy with me. You're the one not providing a retirement account when I know you're putting money away." So then, you don't want to be in that audit. Those are risk audits.
There was a big bank that I had contractors at way back at another time at another place, not here, not mentioning names because they're a large bank and would get mad, but they had me actually drive out to their location to pass out flyers for the company picnic because their managers couldn't pass out the flyers. And I'm like, I don't think they understand the laws. They can't go to the picnic. Me passing out the flyers is not, the judges would go, well, this guy passed out the flyers, you're in the clear. Like, that's how bad that stuff got. Here you go. Don't sue. Don't sue, everybody. Don't sue, but have a hot dog.
Wow.
Oh, man. That's so
unintended
crazy.
consequences. There's so
It's
many.
hard to understand the laws.
So many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now everybody's a huckster or a Ponzi scheme or a right.
Fraudster. Yeah. It's not just us
But not
crypto
the
guys.
politicians.
No. No, those are the honest ones, especially the bureaucrats. Right. So this is actually what this is the
Gensler?
the Gensler fight. Going back to that for a second, is the Representative Torres said this is a guy who is painting. He's trying to make himself the hero by making an entire industry look like the villain. And the
Isn't that the storyline of Shrek 3?
might be maybe anybody check this guy's watch history on Netflix?
Check his Netflix.
But
that'd be amazing.
the scuttle is maybe he's like trying to ready for a political career or something like that. Yeah, and this is he's doing the Elizabeth Warren thing.
Has anybody, and please somebody look this up and tell me, has there ever been a chief executive of the United States that came from compliance? Because that just sounds like a horrible idea.
Oh gosh,
So far, right?
the worst idea so far.
Look, I've seen billions, and I don't
Frank.
think that I want Paul Giamatti as my mayor either.
Frank, that's how slopes work. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Calvin Coolidge. He was a great president.
Was he a compliance guy?
He's pretty close to one, I would think.
I don't know a whole lot about Calvin Coolidge.
I got a book you can read.
Okay.
The Last Great President.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Written by Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah.
Autobiography by
He was just a real cheapskate. He was a real cheapskate.
So
I love that it's being pulled up. Calvin Coolidge
Silent
was
cat.
Silent Cal. Well, because Warren G. Harding was women had just gotten the right to vote, and he was a pretty bachelor. So of course he gets in, but he was a terrible president. And I think he died I forget what he died of, but what's crazy is Calvin Coolidge's son died of a blister he got on a tennis court
That seems like a
because it was before antibiotics.
right.
Imagine that. And first of all, imagine having to explain that. My son died.
Of a
He's playing tennis. You know, that's like, how'd you lose your leg? I was at the pickleball court, and
that's part of the beauty of when you hear all the time over and over again, life has never been better than it is right now. You didn't floss your teeth and get tuberculosis, right?
pickleball has taken over.
It has.
Lifetime Fitness has changed their now to play on the pickleball courts, which have taken all over the tennis courts and the basketball courts. You now have to have an elite package. There were so many people playing that they were able to charge money, and people are paying it to play pickleball.
Yes,
it is
yes.
eating. It is much worse than CMOs. It's eating the world.
Okay.
It is.
Pickleball.
It is.
It's all I heard about for the last 6 months, and nobody could explain it to me.
It's tennis for fat people and old people because there's not a lot of running. It's just fast twitch and you're not moving a lot.
Interesting.
Is it?
No. So, speaking of which, so you had a thing about software B2B.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about this because
I'm gonna get in trouble for that, aren't I?
you can say what you want about any privileged class. You can talk about sex and gender, politicians, and Elon Musk, but you come after pickleball, you have created. Talk about the silent monster. The silent majority will come and. Don't you dare. They'll get mad. They're like bike riders. Share the road. They got to come up with something like split the cord or
Split the
volley
cord.
serve or something that they can identify each other in the wild.
What's up?
Yes, I heard that.
I'm frightened. Is he coming for us because he's a pickleball guy?
I remember this New Yorker article not too well, so that either speaks to the New Yorker or me and my ability to retain information. But I remember it kind of arguing that pickleball is a democratizing sport, and I don't know.
I know a lot of people who are relatively athletic who still enjoy it, though. It's not just like it's not water aerobics.
Yeah.
Like they're having fun with it, and these are people that they do everything else too. But they're like, it's kind of fun,
Look,
low key, easy to do.
come on, let's be clear. I mean, if I was good at it, I'd probably tell you all the good things about it. But
You
just like
pull
as
out
we were
your
talking,
trophies.
as we were talking about before, like
Your
my
ribbons.
favorite part of that whole movie, Air, was when Matt Damon at the very end was like, "I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go for a run," and he's like, "Nope, I'm out." That's it.
That was pretty funny. By the way, you're supposed to say spoiler.
So, yeah, spoiler.
Why would anybody watch it now? Okay, there was this guy named Michael Jordan. I love his little speech, though. That's a good movie. If we can do movie referrals. We can't talk about stocks. I can, but
Yeah.
I can refer movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can
Yeah.
talk about
Don't watch
stocks.
anything on Prime Video. They have the worst movies. Like stuff that you can't believe it got my, not like day in the life stuff, but like they have the worst movie. Like you watch it and you go, how is this possibly, this isn't even straight to video.
Yeah, no, like
This
there's-
is, I did this as a favor from my cousin so my grandmother would let me come back to Thanksgiving, Paul
Right.
Root kind of movies. They're horrific. And I keep getting drawn into them. I've watched like 25 minutes and I go, my life has got to be better than this. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's designed to make you realize if you watch the whole thing, it's over. I'm going to Canada to,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's maybe that because I've been thinking about this. This is like it reminds me of another topic, but I'll circle it back. Someone pointed out to me that there are not very many status like visible status symbols left. Like the most expensive phone and the cheapest phone
Right.
is only like $1,000 difference.
You can drop your phone down and nobody gasp.
Right. So, but somebody said, well, the only true stealth status signal that you can have is having the $1,000 phone, but not have a case on it.
Oh, right. Frank's smiling on a yacht right now. Going, okay. Yeah, there's no status symbols left, kids. Okay.
Well, I mean, but like the most expensive streaming service and the cheapest streaming service is only a
Right.
difference of $10 a month, and it's Prime versus Apple TV.
Once
And you're
they
the
put-
worst videos in the world and the best videos in the world, or whatever, and it's like a $10 difference.
Well, it's like when they started putting diamonds on tennis shoes because,
yeah.
here's a $5,000 burger with gold truffles and diamond dust. You're just because that's what you have to do to impress people now. That's ridiculous. I just drive a truck. I got accused of cosplaying poverty the other day
How's that?
because I have
your
a truck,
and your
a
hat.
boot, and a hat.
That's
boots
not
and a
poverty.
hat.
That's status symbol. How much does a truck cost now?
Less than the cost of a new car. I got it in 2019.
Oh well, check the prices now.
Yeah, I had like 3.5% on a used car. Now it's like 7.5% for a new one. That's crazy.
I did this net present value calculation for a client to figure out whether or not he should sell the existing house that he has, use the money to start a business, and walked him through what the value of his house is after 2 years from when he bought it to now, and then selling that, using that capital, and then buying the exact same house right now across the street with the same amount of money. And it was like a $500,000 difference. And he was like, oh. I was like, so do you think you're going to generate that off of this new business? Or do you want to be like all the rest of the people that can't retire who haven't paid off their house? Oh. That's why we say that your house is not an asset. It's like the house is where you live.
Right.
I was in
You
the
got lucky
dealership.
enough to get it sub 3% interest rate.
I was in the
Keep it.
dealership this morning, and there was a woman that was in front of me that was talking to the service coordinator. And they turns out they lived in the same hometown, went to the same high school. Or
I just want
something.
you to know you've just triggered me, and we will be talking about dealerships soon. Okay.
Fair enough. But he mentions because he sees where she lives with her driver's license. Oh, we've been there 13 years. It's great. And then she mentions that they were out the other day and someone had saw their high school or something, and they talk about how much they love the town. I don't know which one it was, but the old people were like almost in tears because they couldn't afford to live there anymore.
Yes.
Because the property taxes had driven them out so much. And I'm like, that's wild. Here's a woman in her mid-20s or so talking to a 40-year-old service dealer talking about people can't afford their homes anymore. You're like, ow, I think there's something to talk about here.
See, that sounds like Plano.
Yeah. Our Wiley or oh, it's rough. East Plano. Yeah,
East Plano, that's
I know what you're
right.
talking about there. Down and dirty, buddy. Yeah.
Went to the service. This is just frustrating. I went to two different dealerships to bring the car in, backup camera issue, intermittent, surging, whatever. Figured, we'll go and bring it to the dealership. They're like, yeah, we'll need it for a couple of days. So we leave for a couple of days, and then call them up. It's Friday. I'm going to be going out of town. Wife needs a car. What's going on? Oh, we haven't seen it yet. Why'd I have to bring it in 2 days early if you knew you weren't going to get to see it? And so we called another dealership just to find out what their protocol would have been. Same thing. So I called regular local mechanic guy who recently just went out, sold his practice, walked away, sold the building to somebody that's not a mechanic shop. Apparently Dallas has a moratorium on approving any new auto shops. So it's not going to get any easier to try to get your car fixed.
Why? Environmental stuff?
I guess, yeah. They just don't want to have more car shops.
There's not enough. Yeah. Because now you can't just work on like 8 cars. It's one. You're certified for that one. I think it's 2 or 3 years. There's entire programs, which is hysterical that Dallas is saying no, because there are credits available that you can get for your town and city where they will bring in specialists and they will train people in your city. Like you could do it just for Wiley or for McKinney. They will train 100 auto mechanics as long as you promise to hire them. So it's free training paid for within tax incentives to bring people in for that, because there's such there's just a lack of the people that are there. And yet they also want to approve any new auto shops. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we all know the small business ownership game is difficult. Every year they try to squeeze more and more taxes out of them. Like, you buy supplies that you have on your shop premises, you have to pay the tax on it.
This sounds crazy to me like the level of foresight that went into like
California roadways.
Well, I was going to say San Francisco city management. Like, this is the city that said we're going to build new houses. We're going to protect all these old houses because there was a show Full House that had some iconic stuff in it, and now we're not going to let anybody build out, even though we've got like the 2 decades of growth that's unprecedented for any North American city. And so the prices of you basically priced out your entire city of anybody that makes less than $80,000 a year. So you've got no teachers in San Francisco. You've got no minimum wage workers. They're all coming in from like Oakland and Berkeley and
Speaking of the Canadian wildfires.
Yeah.
That was actually the same thing that happened during the blackout in New York City. When the subways were down, it was just that the people that actually worked in the service industry couldn't afford to live in Manhattan, and so they weren't able to commute in because there was no power on the subways and the buses. The buses came through, but there were no lights, so they couldn't come in. So it was like, we don't have anything.
Frank out? I was in Manhattan last week. I think I like Jersey City better.
I lived in Jersey City, actually. I bought a place in Jersey City.
This is pretty. Oh, look at that. You can see it, but I don't have to be there. And, of course, what happens? I got to jump on the subway and go over to the World Trade Center.
You should have taken the water taxi.
Yeah.
If you were in Jersey City, the water taxi drops you right at the World Trade Center. My brother
wanted to show how cool he was and take public transportation.
Yeah, he's stupid.
I was like, and then made me walk all the way up for a French onion soup burger, which is pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
If you're ever at La Farage, up near Times Square, it's an excellent burger.
Yeah, you're not going to get me in.
Go and chat with Sarah. Yeah, first of all, why are we walking to Times Square? I'm like, dude, I'm 49. Why am I walking anywhere?
He wanted you to take a picture with the guys in the M&M costumes, or like the Thor or Hulk or something.
Yeah, that's a strange. It was weird though. I did see the Ground Zero thing in the hall. Last time I was there, it was literally still a hole. I haven't been back to New York in that area.
Yeah,
I didn't go back, so it was kind of wild to see the big tower up and the reflecting ponds and all the tourists being around. You're like, this is.
Yeah, I've only seen it from afar. I haven't been up close to the new stuff yet.
It's
interesting. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's more impactful when it's a whole.
I like Jersey
City. It just
City.
happened. Yeah.
It's actually a great.
I loved it.
You have a beautiful view of the city. You get to see New York City in its glory. You can take the water taxi across. The taxes are a little less. It's pretty nice.
It was. There was a little jazz festival. It was actually comes like. I admit, I think I like Jersey better than New York.
I will say that. Do you know why people in Manhattan are always so angry, though?
Why?
The light at the end of the tunnel is New Jersey.
I feel like I was lied to all those years because I've been in Parsippany and others, and I'm like, this is pretty. This is cool. This is like I'm mad at Saturday Night Live now.
Is this the way we're driving up
Is Staten Island really beautiful, full of fun, cool people?
No.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
It does have some pretty neat places, but
I don't know who to listen to anymore. Look at the tiny little.
So this is the TikTok trick is you put gameplay footage underneath you talking, and people pay attention to the gameplay footage.
No.
We joke about that, but we sent some of the blurbs from the last roundtable, and some of my Zoomer friends were like, it kept my attention. I was like, wow.
Wow. So imagine how they're going to like this now. This is going to be where it's at. So
that is amazing.
New high school.
Right. Well, so it's been an hour already.
All right.
Did you get everything into the discussion that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we can talk about software sales next time.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to, maybe we should talk and play at the same time and see who gets a better score. Maybe that helps.
Yeah. Well, we were doing that in the other room the other day. We were doing like typing tests that are like video games.
Oh, yeah, that's no good.
In the course of human events, when it becomes necessary for one. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Well, this thing is 12, since 2012, because it's probably the keys each have probably only been hit 3 or 4 times each.
The first job I was ever rejected from was a typing job in 1995.
Yeah.
Because I used to computer, and I'm like 80 words a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat in front of a keyboard that was like...
Oh, with a regular typewriter?
And if you make a mistake, they're like, this guy's a liar. Because there's no way to fix the mistake.
Right.
That was $6 an hour I didn't get.
Wow.
I was just bored. I didn't know what to do. I got tired of catering. I figured get an office job. That was a mistake.
You're more of an inside kind of guy, not a warehouse kind of guy. That actually happened to me. I got hired for a summer job, and I thought it was going to be great. So I'm in a warehouse. It's wonderful. I tell my buddy, you should totally come and work with me in this warehouse job. And so he shows up actually dressed nicer. And they literally said to him, they're like, you look more like an inside kind of guy to me.
Wow. I'm not saying a word.
All right.
Someone trained you right.
It's a great note to end on, I think. Hey, thanks for joining us for this week's Roundtable. We'll be back again next week, I'm certain. So you should join us then. And for all the people not watching this live, there's probably a bunch of boxes hovering around my face. You should click on those for other videos, or just like and subscribe. See you. Hey, thanks for watching The Merge. We've got a ton more stuff for you to watch on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Check us out.